Hello everyone, I am so sorry. Just get myself adjusted. Right, apologies, I had another technical issue, this time with my laptop. So I'm on my phone and I think we're connected, and apologies for the late start. So we'll do half an hour session from here. I hope you're all well. Apologies again for the technological issues last week. It went out on the wrong part of the Different Strokes Facebook page. So there's been a problem every week, a kind of a different one. So there is a learning process going on, but different challenges keep getting thrown up by the technology. We're here, we're doing the Tai Chi, so it should be okay now. So what I thought I'd do is repeat the content from last week. I know about 700 of you, about 500 of you accessed the video after it was recorded, but I thought we'd have a go and do it live now. I hope a few of you are with me. So we're going to go through and do that cloud hands movement with the different options of seated, one side of the body, both sides of the body, and then bring in a whole body movement to try and engage the affected side as well. Okay, so everyone get comfortable. We'll all start from a seated position. Good to see there's a few of you joining in already. Right, let me just get myself back. Give me 1 minute, because I've had to rush to get this set up. I'm just getting the angle right. Okay. Good, that looks good. Alright, so everyone started seated. Sit on the edge of your seat. Hands on your belly. And I want us to go to that most important part of Tai Chi practice, the breath. Okay, think about that thin thread of breath that goes in and out and connects all of our movements. Okay, so let's go down to a slow breath in through your nose. Slow breath out. Out through your nose or out through your mouth, whatever's comfortable for you. Where possible, focus on the slow breath in through your nose. And slow breath out. And think about that balloon that we were talking about, yeah? The balloon in your belly, you're breathing in. Fill that balloon with air. Inflate the balloon. Breathing out, that balloon shrivels up, the air having left it. Breathing in, breathing out. Once more, breathing in. Breathing out. Nice, okay. So we're going to think about movement of the body connected to the breath. Okay, so with that thin, deep breath going in and out, we're going to start moving different aspects of our body, and we're going to transform that and sculpt that and evolve that to the cloud hands movements that I introduced last week. So first, keeping your hands on your tummy. So just a bit below your belly button, and ideally if you have an affected hand, kind of sandwich it in between your belly and the better hand over the top. Okay, so as we breathe in, think about a circle. We tried that with the snake movement right at the beginning, session 1. So think about rising up, coming across, sitting down into your hips, rising, coming across, sitting down. So as you're breathing in, rising up, breathing out, coming down, breathing in, breathing out. Nice and slow. circle movement based on rising the body, moving across to one side, sitting down. And that breath being the continuous point that holds everything together, holds us all together, holds our body together, the movement together, our mind together. And we're all here doing this together, right? We're all here as a community. Stroke survivors, brain injury survivors, maybe those who support them. Me, Alison's here, we're all connected, sharing this Tai Chi moment each week. Now I want you to take your preferred hand, the hand that's accessible to you, and we're going to start this movement. Not so much thinking about now I'm going to do something with my hand, but we're going to continue that bodily circular movement and we're going to express it through the hand. So I want you to start by scooping down and sitting down into your hips, rising the body, the hand comes up and circles just above your eyes, palms come out and then come down again. Scooping the hand, rising it, crossing over, scooping down. Keep that nice gentle thread of breath as we do this. And maybe if you had a go at it last week, it already starts to feel a little bit more familiar. If you're new this week, don't worry, just get into the movement, and over time, the movement starts to become more familiar, more accessible. That's really good. Okay. I'm going to keep the hand going and we're going to really make sure that the body's moving with it. So we're going to sink down into our hips as the hand scoops down, and we're going to raise our body. Then we're going to round our shoulders to bring the hand across. Scoop down. Raise the body. Raise the collarbones. Find some space around here. Then round both shoulders, which bring our arm across and down. So in this way, the body is driving the movement more than the arm moving by itself. Scooping down, up, down. Great, good stuff. Okay, and for those of you who have the option of the other arm available to you, try the other arm. It may not be your preferred arm, it may be less accessible to you than the arm you were just using. Let's give it a go. Scooping down. If the other arm isn't available to you, I want you to keep working on the arm you were just using. Scooping down, coming up. Palm turning forward, down again. And then we're going to think about the body. So we're sinking down into our hips, rising the body, finding space around the collarbones and rounding the shoulders to bring the arm back across the body, coming down, up, round the shoulders, down. Let the trunk of the body move, find the space. Let it sink down into the hips. And maybe those who are accessing this second arm, it's becoming a little bit more familiar as we repeat a few times. Okay, and bring it down. Let's have a little pause here. Let's just check in. So we're finding this rising and falling, sinking down, moving across. And that's the core movement which generates this ripple. And in this sense, we're making the shape of that ripple the circle of the hand. In the first session 2 weeks ago, we made that ripple a snake-like coiling movement. But we're getting that ripple coming from the trunk. All right? So go back to your preferred side, or the side that's accessible to you. Those of you who want to try this standing now, come up. And just have feet planted in underneath your shoulders. The same distance as your shoulders and your hips. And start with your preferred hand. The other hand can be resting on your belly for now. Scooping down. Coming up. Scooping down again. So sinking into your hips. Rising the chest and the collarbone. Coming over. Sinking down again. Coming up. Great. So whether you're seated or standing, just think about the body sinking into the hips, rising up, finding the space around the collarbone, rounding the shoulders to bring the arm over, down. Apologies if you can hear my kids in the background. That's why Tai Chi is so important. Okay, and then other hand if it's available, you scooping, crossing, scooping, crossing, sitting in your hips. Lengthening the body, opening by the collarbone, rounding the shoulders, bring it round. Okay, good. So I hope there's one movement. Let's just review about why we're doing this, okay? It's not a question of making the movements better over time. That happens as a product, just from repeating. We want it to be safe. We don't want it to be causing injuries, and that's where I'll direct you about how to place your body and your limbs in different ways. But we're doing this as an entry point into a state of mind, this flow state, where we just get absorbed in the movements, forget our worries and concerns, forget who we are, we just become that flow of movement, okay? So I want you to kind of think about that, and just as I said last week, the entry point for some people will be seated, others will be standing, some of you will be one side of the body, others will be both sides of the body, okay? The movement with this kind of coming out of the core is the key bits, the breath and the core movement. What we do with our arms and legs is a ripple of that, and for different people it's going to be different ways into the state of mind, the state of flow. And it just feels nice to be flowing along. So with that in mind, we're going to give this another go, okay? So I want you now to, those of you with an affected side, okay, those of you where that's least accessible to you, be it seated or standing, I want you to think about the trunk movement having an influence on the side. So the central pillar of our body having an influence. So for example, if it's your left hand, then the left side, think about the belly coming down over to the left side and then rising the whole body, finding space in the collarbones, rounding the shoulders to come round. So in this way, if it's a less responsive arm, think about it's got a relationship to the bit of you that you can move, the core center line of your body, down, up, round. So as well as one arm being able to express that more dynamically, the other arm is part of that same movement, yeah? So think of the core bit as this, moving up, across and down, and then one arm is able to express that. Maybe both arms are able to express that. So find for you what's accessible. So now we're going to try both arms together, both sides together, okay, which is going to be challenging for everyone. We just dipped into this last time. We're going to spend a little bit longer on it this week, all right? So again, remember the most important thing, breathe. Breathe slowly in, breathe slowly out. Get absorbed in the movement. Find that as that doorway, that gateway into this flow state of mind. And with that in mind, I want you to take your preferred arm and scoop it down. And then if the other arm is accessible to you, you're going to have it out the side and you're going to cross them over. And then you're going to bring them up so they're above each other and you're going to cross them over on the other side. So I mentioned last week that you kind of imagine a clock face. So in front of you is 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then you've got, for me it's 9 o'clock this side, 3 o'clock on this side. And the hands, both hands over, they cross at 9 at 6. They cross at 9 or 3, face each other at 12 and 6, and cross at 3. So crossing at the sides and facing each other at the top and the bottom. So we're going to start this movement here. So you can do it standing. I'm going to do it seated now so I can come a bit closer to the camera and you can see it in a bit more detail. Okay, so I've got my clock face. I'm crossing at the side, hands face each other and crossing on the other side. So much harder movement now. But if we think about the core moving, the belly going across, the trunk rising, the shoulders rounding, and then sinking down into our hips, it helps think about the important bit. The arms are rippling around. It's the central movement up and down, that's key. So if both hands are available to you, you're working on this, right? It's the second week we've had a go at this. Maybe it's just as confusing as last time. Maybe it's a tiny bit less confusing. If it's just blowing your mind and it's just sending you into a complete spin, go back to a one arm, okay? This is just giving you some options here. Now those with one side less responsive, take your good hand, circle it up, and then as it goes across, think about the other side circling around. So think about bringing in the other side, maybe it's the shoulder, think about down, bringing up the affected side, rounding the shoulder, which brings the affected side over, down. And meanwhile, the hand that's more responsive can express the movement in a circle here. So in this kind of way, your body's behaving as if both arms are circling out together. Down, up, cross. Okay. So we've got some options here: seated, standing, one side, now both sides operating bilaterally together. So this is a complicated movement. I'm going to give you one final option this week, okay, for those who are thinking they want something a little bit more. And we're going to walk with the cloud hands. For those who want to try this, as everything, stick where you're at. If you're wanting to stay seated, stay seated. If you're wanting to stay standing on the spot, stay standing on the spot. For those who want something a little bit more, start working on both arms, crossing and circling. And then when you're ready, we're going to start stepping to the left. Okay, so if you have some space, as the left hand comes up, you're going to step the left leg and bring the feet back together, cross. Stepping out left, left hand comes, feet come back together. So you're stepping the left out as the left arm waves out, and then you're bringing the right foot back in under your hips. So you kind of reset hip width apart. And stepping out again, cross. So this is harder to kind of show on the camera, but you're just experimenting, stepping out as the left hand comes out in the movement. I'm going to do one more step, but then I'm going to sit back so you can see me. Good. And then I'm going to circle and I'm going to start moving to the right. So my right foot steps out as the right hand waves out. Bring my feet hip width apart. So right leg and right hand, left leg and left hand. Right leg, right hand, left leg, right hand. So this is like top of the kind of confusing, challenging options. But I want you to, if you're interested in this option, I don't want you to do this at the expense of losing that state of mind. In fact, from us trying this hardest version where we're linking arms and legs together, it gets harder, by the way. The monks in China have plenty for us to work on, including things like circling around, and then coming down, scooping up, blocking, kicking, all kinds of ways to contort ourselves in this. But we don't want it just to become dancing. We don't want it to become something that is about the external side of it. So how can I make my body do this? And to demonstrate that, we're going to go right back to the movement we did right at the beginning. So we've gone a whole journey here from moving, sitting down, standing, walking, both sides of the body. And I showed you a little glimpse of how it can get even more challenging physically down the line. But let's go back to the important thing. Everyone take a seat now. Everyone sit on the edge of their chair. Hands on your belly. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Now take your preferred hand, the hand that's accessible. One hand only. Start to scoop up, cross from down. And notice after everything that we've done, coming back to this, it may feel more intimate now, more of part of you. You don't have to think about it as much as you did. So use that relationship now. You can just go into it. Become absorbed by it. So forget about me. Forget about anyone else. Just breathe and flow. We're going to do 3 more circles. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to bring your hand down on your belly. Just close your eyes. And just track that same movement inside your mind, inside your body. You're still on the outside, but inside there's that flow of that circle going down, up, across, down, up, across. Enjoy that flow, circularity. Now in your mind, start to slow it down. Until you get to a point of stillness. And then when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. And thank you again so much for training with me, training with each other, training together. We're all in different locations around the country and around the world. I know people tune into this from other countries too. And we're all training together. We covered a lot of different things today. Remember, there are only options, but I hope by going through all the options, returning to the core single arm movement, kind of put it into a bit of a spotlight. Actually, this is the key thing: the breath, the flow, the version that's right for you. Next week, we're going to review that, the cloud hands movement, the basic one, and I'm going to introduce some new movements too. Okay, so we're going to think about circles going out in different directions, using upper and lower body in different ways. So some new content coming next week. So hopefully you enjoyed the live experience. Apologies for the late start, as I had to switch around my devices to get us going again. But thank you for joining me, and I hope it was a pleasurable half an hour. And I will see you guys next Monday. I'll stick around for any questions and chat. I know Alison is on the chat too to help out. So take care, guys. Bye bye.